Rachel and Flora coming to you from Marbella.
Hi.
And Flora's working out here remotely for how long?
I am out here for 3 weeks in total.
And I'm so jealous. I'm out here for 3 days. But genuinely, I have been so plateaued in Manchester, where I've been working remotely there for 7 months. And I feel like I just needed a bit of a break, get away, and I knew obviously Flora literally does the exact same thing as me. She got into appointment setting as soon as I did it, pretty much. Yeah, my first girl that I coached was amazing.
I remember when you started to doing, you're like, I'm thinking of doing this coaching business, like I'll let you know when it's launched, and then the minute you said it was launched, I was like, just like, sign me up.
Well, the best thing was, and I think I've gone into this in a video before in more detail, but the reason that I was so confident launching my coaching offer was because I had girls like Flora in my network and like friends that would say, I really want to start travelling, I really want to do what you do. So it was almost like you were my guinea pigs, where I could use you but then sort of grow at the same time. And obviously we've been able to go through so many of the same experiences together, working with different, dare I say, sales bros, the same challenges. But it's been really nice being in Marbella. Like, you've been pretty similar to me, where we've been working mostly from the UK, but then looking forward to trips, travelling recently.
Yeah, we did Bali for a little bit as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Obviously I went from being in an office job that I absolutely hated, and I was just seeing you, I think that's when you were either in Bali or Australia. Might have even been Australia.
No, it would have been Bali.
And I remember just seeing you like travelling around doing a madness, and I was sat in this like grim office in Manchester, and I was just like, no, this is just not for me, this is not it.
Yeah, I remember all of these conversations, and I was literally like, just do it alongside your job, because that's how I managed to make this into a full-time role. Just from basically understanding what I needed to be doing to exceed my monthly income. So you did the same, and how long did it take for you to hand in your notice?
Do you know what, it literally took me about 3 months. It was so much quicker than I thought. Like, I remember getting my first client, turning up to work, quickly sending out messages, sat in the car park in my car, and then I'd go into work, and then like just throughout the day I'd be like checking and just quickly sending a couple of messages, and on my lunch break I'd spend my lunch break doing messages and doing DMs and stuff, and then I'd get home, do a little bit more, and then I'd log off. And it was obviously like, it was exhausting and it was like a lot, but my end goal and my vision was just to get out of that office life and the 9-to-5 life.
Yeah, like, you have to have such a big motivation behind it, and I think we're actually really fortunate where a lot of our friends from uni have gone into freelance or remote positions, so then that does drive you more, because you're like, oh wait, this is possible, you can see other people doing it, and it makes you feel like, okay, why am I sat in an office, why am I not doing this? Whereas I think a lot of people, it might be like your whole friendship group moves to London after uni, and then you're all in these jobs, and if someone was to turn around and be like, I'm actually going to start working remotely and then I'm going to move to Bali, someone would be like, what? But so I think a lot of the girls that I have conversations with now, that's like a big blocker, but it's all about mindset. That's what we've been saying since we've been together in Marbella.
It is, because I think as well, like, what's a couple months work where you're literally having to maybe juggle 2 jobs, if at the end of it you do get to leave one and then you can just go fall in with the other one and be remote. And then, like, as well, I think it's getting clients as well, which you really help me with, which a lot of people kind of, I think, is a bit of a blocker for a lot of people as well. Like, they think, how am I going to get a client, and get a good client as well. And we definitely had our fair share of good and bad clients.
I think that's why when I'm with Flora, like, our experience has been so aligned, because she's been with me through so many of these good and bad partnerships. But I'd say it's not necessarily the clients that have been the most difficult, but it's like the sales bros that promise to overpromise and underdeliver for these clients, and almost take on this micromanaging role with appointment setters, when ultimately they're not spending enough time on the account and dedicated to actually reviewing the performance, listening to the setter.
I think as well, it's for a lot of them it's about just like statistics and numbers and KPIs and things like that, whereas there's just so much more that goes into it, and you need to have that like emotional intelligence to understand the client and like their tone of voice and what it is they need, and be able to look after their account as if it's your own.
Yeah.
I think that's like lacking as well.
Yeah, and I think when you first start as an appointment setter, you're obviously so set on driving results, but it can be overwhelming when you get onto an account and it's just a complete mess. So I think it's great to have these good and bad experiences, but it also does help having the support of someone else. Like,
definitely.
Even independently, the setters that I coach obviously have my support on a one-to-one basis, which I can go and support them where they send me over a screenshot, we can review the DMs together, go through different strategies. But I think having someone in those conversations and able to lead the conversations with clients, not only about appointment setting but feeding into the wider strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you saw, I basically did a YouTube like a few weeks ago, and it was all about how your setter is the front of house. And it reminded me of like when I was in Australasia as a host, and obviously you're greeted by someone. Like, I could instantly gauge as a host in a restaurant what this person was like, what they were likely going to be spending, like qualifying them in every way possible, like who would like to serve them, all of these different things. And then ultimately this is all knowledge that I have being front of house, and I could feed back to the business. And I think that's something that all of the setters, I don't know whether it's because I'm a female-based academy, but all of the setters that I've trained, they really like to be involved in these conversations and giving feedback to the client and really helping them grow in that way. And I think that's something that we know benefits the client like tenfold. Like, we've built such good relationships with our clients that we've had, like, you've been with, what's been your longest term client?
I'd honestly say like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years. I think all my clients are pretty.
And then all coming back as well and saying like, actually, can we have you back now? Like,
yeah, I've had that with like 3 of them actually very recently as well. I don't really think I've had any clients that have been super short term.
Yeah,
maybe one just because it just wasn't like a fit, and like maybe the offer wasn't great or whatever it was. But overall, yeah, it's been really long term. And I think as well, what works well with these, well, what will work well with clients in terms of supporting the setters is a lot of these clients, they're so busy and they don't have eyes, like you say, we're front of house, right? So they don't have eyes in the business, and it's like asking about numbers and what the lead flow is like and content and engagement, things like that. So I think having someone to just come in and say, right, this is what this week looked like, this is what our plan is for next week, and giving them that like visibility is going to be really beneficial.
Exactly. So I think we're like driven to build this because recently, well, this year, me and Flora have both been working with a client, and there was sales bros involved, and it was honestly the most frustrating situation ever, because I think I've worked with multiple sales bros now, and every time it's the same thing, where it could be that shorter client retention because they have overpromised and underdelivered for the client. And then in my experience working with this client recently, the sales bros were trying to pinpoint my role as an appointment setter and blame their shortcomings on me. But because I've had obviously such a vast experience, I was very happy to like call them up on it and say, absolutely not, like, this is what I've been doing, this is how this has been performing, this is what needs to be resolved. So going there with a solution, but I have to say it was the most frustrating few conversations of my life. And that's when I was speaking to Flora because she had a similar experience with the same client, same sales bros. And I just think that the amount of clients that will feel so disheartened having gone through a similar experience with a couple of guys that they say, we're going to manage everything, but they actually don't get involved in the pipeline, they don't listen to the appointment setter. I think that's like the main thing that we want to start supporting clients with, is not only placing a coached and like trained setter into their business
and then just being like, bye.
Yeah, but like having a relationship with the setter where every week we can say, how's this performing, what content are they replying to, like what content are you getting the most engagement with. But not just engagement, because anyone can get loads of likes on a post, but it's like, where is their ideal customer profile, their ICP. Feeding back to the client and just saying like, this is what's working, this is what needs improving, these are the, like what Flora said, like these are the facts and figures, and moving forward with different strategies where the client can feel confident that they can focus on client delivery and actually have a really solid understanding of what's going on in their accounts and how this is being starting to be improved. I know that this is something that you're doing with your client at the moment, more of the managing side.
It is, yeah. So I have meetings every morning with the setters and the closer as well. So obviously we're also interlinked and we have really good communication, which I think is so important. But yeah, just touching base in the morning and then having end of day reports and having a look at those, just reviewing their work, feeding that back to the client, kind of coming up with a plan of action, whether it's for the next day or for the next week, depending on what worked well and where the blockers were. And it's just made such a difference, because even before that I started off being the only setter and my client was really busy, and obviously she was managing me, she was supporting me and stuff, but as she's grown, at one point we had 3 of us, and so then me stepping in as manager, it really helped her buy some of her time back and have peace of mind, and then obviously helped us grow as well. And that's really helped things in terms of DM scripts, and we have a playbook, updating that and making that more efficient. It's been really beneficial. We're just kind of growing, and then her kind of vision is to have different pods, setter pods. So we have a pod of 2 or 3 and another pod of 2 or 3, and then I'm just here overseeing and working with those pods and building them out.
I think what was interesting with your call yesterday, because we've obviously just been working together. Yesterday was at the beach club, but even in the morning we were at a cafe. We're going to a cafe after this, and I was listening to Flora on this conversation, and she's like, yeah, win for the day is probably this. And I think having those sorts of conversations in a team environment is so motivating, rather than it just being a setter and a client, but actually having the client the setter in a community where they can sort of feedback, they can chat about the account, they can learn. And I know that when I have the community calls with the girls that I've coached, the more girls that are on each call, the more motivated they are by each other, because they all leave and they have this shared drive to be successful, to work remotely. But a lot of the time it is a mindset issue that holds it back, and it's almost getting someone that has either achieved what you want to achieve. If looking at us in Marbella now, it's okay, why would I not want to do that, and why would I want to ask for annual leave to do this? But then it's that shared goal, and actually knowing someone that has got to your desired outcome. So I think there's 2 facets of people that we want to support with this, which is continuing to support all the girls in my coaching and help them get to a place that we are now, but also the client side of things. It's not something that we thought we'd get involved in, but because of all of this experience, I genuinely can't trust the sales bro now. It will be very rare. We saw Basit yesterday, who's in the remote sales coaching space, but with male setters and closers, and he's the only sort of guy I trust. Other than that, I think there's so many people wanting to make a pretty penny online, but not actually they'd be happy to onboard a client, promise the world, under-deliver, and then just get rid of the client. Whereas I think the reason that me and you are so confident in this offer and so confident moving forward is because that client retention's been so high.
100%.
And I could bump into any of my clients and give them a hug down the road. Yeah. Whereas I look at them and I'm like, could you say the same?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And that just makes the world so much more enjoyable. Being able to walk around Marbella, bump into people, and them have this same shared drive. So I think it's all about connecting with more people, making sure business owners, they feel like they've got someone in their corner. I was saying to Flora, because obviously this is something we're going to have to market, just going to be online, but with even going into my coaching and building that personal brand around it, the amount of needles you need to sew, or threads you need to sew to actually build the back end of a business, as well as delivering for the clients that you're working with. So for me, it's obviously the girls that come through my academy. It's insane, and you do just need that support. So the easiest thing would be to outsource your daily activities, so admin tasks and editing, things like that. But for me, my investment now goes into mentorship, coaching, and just someone to help guide me along the right lines. So having something that we can help support clients with, that's not only guiding them along the right lines, but actually having that rationale, having those figures, having everything to back it up, so they feel confident with what they're doing moving forward, and they also have that setting that they're outsourcing, because if you're outsourcing a setter for 2-4 hours a day, then that's all time that you're going to get back.
100%, yeah. And I think a lot as well, like obviously I do coaching in terms of I coach clients for my client who has like a business mentorship. So we have all these clients that come in, and the same pattern that I see, these are people that are making like 5 figures a month, they're already established and doing well, but the main pattern that I see is none of them have a clue about appointment setting. Like they just don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're saying, and then they're not booking calls and they don't get why. So obviously at that point where they're like, right, well I need to get a setter. But then even with that, it's like, how can they have confidence in a setter when they don't even know what they should probably be checking and like asking for? So I think someone as well to like take that like that stress and that responsibility from you and just feed back the information that you want to hear and that you care about. I think that's going to be great. Yeah,
because I think for us, now getting onto an account, we can sort of get on it, but then we can say, okay, this is like how everything's performing. But even now we've had it, let's say with the client, like one of the clients that we worked with together, then you're promised the world and you get onto their account and it's like, this is not set up for success yet. So having someone come in and audit it, because I know that we're in the position where we can sort of look at it and think, okay, this isn't right, this isn't right. But if you're going to get into that first position, you could have gone through all the coaching, you could have a really great understanding of appointment setting, but it's having that confidence to challenge a client and say like, where are the sales coming from at the moment, what's performing. And a lot of the time it's all the stuff that goes under the radar while they're just focusing on getting stuff out there, like seeing what sticks, and then not actually managing these conversations, because it is such a skill, like building a rapport, getting them to a point where they are actually interested in the business.
And I feel like as well what works well with us is that we have such a vast like range of people we work with.
Oh my god, yeah.
Low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket, fitness, business, like
multiple people on the account, working directly with a client.
Yeah, working in a team of setters, like
working with the sales bros and challenging them. So the reason that me and Flora have been speaking so much is because we've had so many negative experiences with sales bros, and this is from like almost a third party. Like we don't look to work with them, we just naturally
get placed with
them, like where they've been sold a dream, like the client that we're working with has been sold a dream, they onboard these sales bros, they promise them the world, and then it just is
flops.
It's just like everything that they're doing, they're trying to blame on all these external factors, including the appointment setter, but ultimately they are not spending enough time in the business to grow it. And that's something that we really are going to strive to put together an offer that like alleviates all of these pain points for the client, but also leading with so much clarity rather than chaos, which is what we normally see
100%.
When they're involved. And I think to do that, it is just going to be having that amazing relationship with an appointment setter, almost like that managing role, where we can understand exactly like what's performing, what's not, getting the feedback, and then providing that for the client, which I think ultimately as an appointment setter you do anyway, but because you're so focused on delivery, hitting targets, it can be quite hard to decompress at the end of the day and be like, what else should I tell them? Whereas if you've got someone that's having a chat with you and like, okay, so realistically where do you think this is, and the setter won't be shy about sharing that, because sometimes you are a bit shy where this person's grown their whole business and you're like, am I going to tear it down to their face, and like I've just got onto this account, like do I want to do that? So having this middleman, but in the best way possible, because it's something that I never really thought I'd do, but having seen the state of other people that are offering this sort of service and the way that they honestly probably leave these clients with the biggest mess of CRM systems is insane. Like I just really want to provide something where everyone can just win.
Sailing.
Yeah, I think it's just everyone winning in this, in an online business space is always good.
For sure.
But yeah, so watch this space.